Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast, episode number 173. I'm your host, Bailey Eichbrett. This is my good buddy here, Mr. Master Captain, Andy Full. What's going on, dude? It's stuck. It's in my regiment now. It's here to stay.
You just call me Cat.
Captain?
Cat.
Captain?
Yeah,
Captain. Captain.
Yeah, Captain.
I'm so simple-minded, dude, that those commercials just very, very enthused.
You're fine.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on, dude? How's your day?
Simple banker life, hanging out,
Ready to make the switch to the full-time guide life yet?
Dude, I freaking hope so. I need some people to start hitting me up and booking trips. So, one, I can buy a bigger boat. And two, so I can guide full-time eventually.
Should plug in that scene from Jaws. You need a bigger boat. Just you on Erie with 6-footers.
Just like today, guys. Honestly, I think I'm very thankful in regards to that. I know how to fish the Upper Niagara. So if the lake ever does blow up, we can still go catch and just rail on some fish and stay safe while doing it. So everyone always preaches how much fun the Lake Erie is. And I'll tell you what, there are times where that lake is tough that I don't even like going out there. I'll just put my boat in 3 minutes from my house and go catch 20, 30 fish in a day. And they're not the same size, but it's just as fun. And it's hard. So,
and do them in ways that you can't really use on the lake too, which is I think you're a big fan of as well.
Yeah.
But especially now at COVID year too, because now you can't go to Canada.
Oh, dude, that
shrinks that lake down.
Oh, no, you want to talk about
that? Well, hopefully it's over soon. And we can go fish in Canada. But
if not, it just means it's more opportunity to learn. I can't guide in Canada, so.
Oh, really? So even if we could fish in Canada, you can't go to Canadian waters while guiding?
Correct.
Is there a way to get your license, or how does that work? Is that possible, or is it?
It is crazy. I don't exactly. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, so I'm just
gonna scratch it. Makes sense.
I don't have to go to when I fish Canada, it's much more technical, and I don't want to waste time on the technicalities of it with people and not have a good experience. So,
right, that's fair. I feel that. Well, dude, we finally have some relatively safe ice here, and I'm hoping I'm not jinxing myself and it's not safe tomorrow. But finally, gonna get out on the ice tomorrow morning with my brother, and first time he's been fishing, I think, since probably last March, maybe, when I took him down to the road to the pond and we got on some frogfish, and that's probably about it. Yeah, I frogfished in March. I did say that. What?
He hasn't steelhead fished at all?
No, he hasn't done anything.
Didn't he ask me about steelhead fishing?
He did. And that was about time when all that stuff went down and couldn't get him the discount. But it's a thing where I think he wanted to put the time into it, but his mind was on deer season. And now that it's not deer season, it's all coyote for him, which, by the way, was a lot of fun.
Did you get that?
Huh?
Did you get any coyotes?
We didn't, but we had two. So we were kind of like, what you do is we're field hopping, essentially. We'd go we went out at night, left at 9:30 at night, and stayed out till 1:30 in the morning. Basically, what you do is on your rifles, you have these big red floodlights. So you kind of just sit there and you kind of position yourself in the middle of these fields, kind of tactically. And you have a call essentially that's supposed to either, present a dying animal. And it sounds horrible for these non-hunters. I'm sorry, but bear with me for a couple minutes or skip forward. And then you have one that's supposed to be a pack of coyotes to draw them in. And we had two fields that we were literally surrounded by two different packs of 5 or more coyotes, but they were on the tree line, just inside the woods where we couldn't get an efficient shot off at them.
Yeah.
It would do. It's eerie though, sitting there when it's midnight, pitch black, besides your floodlight, and you only have that certain circumference where you can actually see with that light, and all you hear is coyotes around you. It's pretty cool. It makes the hair on your neck stick up. That's for dang sure. It gets your blood pumping. Yeah, but Either way, enough talk about coyotes. We have on Mr. Devon Christian, Mr. Debos fishing today, and we're gonna be talking baits. I know on Monday night we had Mr. Eric Galasso, Mr. Epic Eric, and we had an awesome show talking about everything under the moon when it comes to baits. And today is gonna be another one of those days. Mr. Devon Christian is a tackle junkie himself, so we'll be talking about that, how he's made it into a dude. He's huge on YouTube, 92,000 subs.
I like perused some of his videos, and I saw a couple had like 1.1 million views on
crazy
them.
Stuff. Crazy. Like the first thing I think of when I watch some of his videos and how he kind of attacks certain things is like YouTube fishing's been around for a little while, but like he's finding creative ways to to not only get views, obviously, but to make an entertaining video, but that's also informational. But it's obviously like him still exploring the industry too, and showing these different baits, different setups, combos, and like a lot of review stuff too, which I think is really cool. And obviously there's a huge demand. There's always going to be a demand for review videos. So we're going to get him on him. We're going to talk about a bunch of that stuff. He also lives in probably one of the hardest states to bass fish in the United States. In my opinion, I could be entirely wrong, so he can change my mind when we get him on here. But we're going to get him on here in a second. But a quick message from Hobie, and we'll come back with you with Devon. All right, y'all. We are back, and we are joined by Mr. Devon Christian. What's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? Happy to be on.
Heck yeah, dude. We're happy to have you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Doing okay. Now, I mean, we don't have any open water, so it's kind of like that dull time of year, but at least get to ice fish a little bit.
Same. Yep, I'm in the same boat.
You guys all safe frozen up there, I'd imagine, being in Iowa?
Pretty much, yeah. We went up to Clear Lake, which was almost to the northern border of Iowa, and fished 2 weekends ago. Got on a bunch of perch. Nothing too big, but got out last weekend here. Caught some small bass, some good bluegill. I caught a couple that were right at 10 inches, so not bad.
So, yeah, obviously we were talking offline here. We've had Tyler Cole on, who's from Iowa, and I neglected to ask him specifically how the fishing was in Iowa. So am I wrong in saying earlier that Iowa is probably one of the hardest states to bass fish in the country?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason there's no big tournaments here. Like we have the Mississippi, which is great. I honestly don't fish it. My old man's got a V-bottom boat, so if I get the chance with him, I do, but I don't ever really get over there. We've got a bunch of – I was actually talking to Baxter, the baitman, about this, and we've got a bunch of different type of lakes, which is nice, but like nothing big. So, nothing like Lake Fork or – Okeechobee, anything like that. But we've got a good variety. So like we've got some, clear reservoirs. We've got some super grassy lakes. We've kind of got a mix of everything. So it's all right. I think like the state record is only like 10.2 pounds, something like that.
We are.
So
isn't ours like 10.1 or something?
I think ours is just over 10.
Yeah.
Just over 10? Yeah. So we're probably in the same boat, but
yeah,
I think our fisheries are a little bit above Iowa. Have you ever left the state to fish, or have you always been in Iowa?
Just surrounding Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin a little bit, but Minnesota obviously, but no, nothing big. I've got a family and work full time still too, so it's with my job. It's hard too.
Yeah, you're grinding, man.
Trying.
New video every week, as we see when you visit his YouTube channel, and then working full time and fishing. That's a grind, man. Props to you.
It's a big grind. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We're going to be getting into the whole YouTube thing in a little bit, but obviously if you're new to the show. I'm curious, Andy's curious, how you, originally got started into fishing, that first time going bass fishing specifically, and, who kind of got that passion installed in you?
Yeah. Live that first catch.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I remember my first catch. One of the most memorable. So my old man loves fishing. He certainly got me into it, dragging me along on those days when I remember going out with him and it was, 98 degrees, 100 degrees, sitting in the boat. He's slow, dragging a worm or a Carolina rig. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm still throwing a spinnerbait back there, and just sweating, and it's so hot. And you're like, I don't want to be out here anymore. But he used to grind them out. So he's taught me a bunch. But one of the most memorable for me is one of my local lakes. We got on a huge bite with topwater plugs. A little Zara spook puppy is what I was throwing. And that's still one of the most memorable days for me with topwater fishing.
Heck yeah, dude. So kind of just it took off from there. Like, when did you really get serious? Especially talking about the YouTube side too, because obviously you have a pretty respectable channel for when it comes to subscribers. You're pretty much scraping away at that 100K mark. So like, when did that all kind of start, and you wanted to make a partial career out of it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I fished hard up until like high school. And then once I left high school and went into college, I got into MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. So that ate up my life for like 13 years. I coached at a gym. I was doing fights for a while. And then I hurt my neck super bad, which has been like 7 or 8 years ago now.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that sucked. And it kind of was decision time. I had just had my first daughter. We were going to have the second on the way. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm not going to be a pro MMA guy. I'm not going to be in the UFC. So that's kind of when I stopped and just started slowly trickling back into bass fishing. And a couple years in, my buddy's like, dude, they have YouTube stuff for this. And at the time I was like huge against social media. So I didn't have Facebook, no Instagram. I didn't really watch YouTube at all. I'm just like, that stuff's a waste. And I kind of got into it. And I think like the first guy I remember watching was Cornell over at YouTube Fishing Vids.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, that seems fun. And I had some buddies, keep saying, just do some stuff. Even if you're just filming, try to have fun. And one thing kind of led to another. Here we are.
Heck yeah, dude. I think DC was my first. Cornell, I think he was the first channel I found as well, a long time ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I'm talking, that was probably 6 years ago, maybe more than that. 7 years ago was when I really got into YouTube too.
I want to say 6-7 years ago is when I got into it.
Heck yeah, man, that's sweet. So when did you start hoarding all the baits and the combos and everything, man? It's a masterpiece. Looking at some of your posts on Instagram.
Yeah, it's that's always kind of been an addiction. Like, I remember way back in the day when I was little, you didn't have the internet stuff where you could surf. And so we would get like the Bass Pro catalog. And I remember me and Dad would sit and go through that, and we'd circle stuff. You'd have to, write in your order and send it in. So he's always kind of been a tackle nerd too. I always loved going through his stuff. He's got old, vintage lures. We even had like the old color selector where you drop down it, based on like the water temp and stuff. It showed you what color to use, all that, stuff. And then, like I said, once I hit high school, like all that kind of died off. I grew up watching Hank Parker, Bill Dance, KVD when he was young, fishing the tournaments. I remember talking to Dad about him. He's like, yeah, that guy's going to be good, huh? I don't think anybody knew this good, but
right.
then it just kind of fell off. Honestly, I didn't really pay attention to the industry. I would hear stuff here and there, and I'd fish every once in a while, like go down to the river and stuff. But I mean, nothing big until, like I said, like seven or so years ago, it just kind of re-clicked again and full pull into it.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Kind of getting away from YouTube just for a second. I'm curious, and I forgot to ask you prior. I know we touched upon tournaments a little bit offline, but have you ever dabbled in it with any tournaments at all in Iowa or around Iowa?
I was just talking to somebody about this. I've only fished one tournament, and I won it. I was 10 years old. It was a bank fishing tournament. I had big fish.
Was it like a 12-inch bluegill?
I think it was a 15-inch bass or 16-inch bass, something
nice.
Silly. And I remember I was so pissed because I got this like junky little red Plano tackle box with, I think there was a couple baits in it. I'm like, I got first, and like the second place person was like the mayor's brother's kid or something like that. I don't know, some deal, and he got like a brand new rod and reel, and I'm like, really? Like that's what's going on here?
Politics.
But as far as my tournament career, I'm unbeaten. I have not been beaten in my tournament career. No, I
won.
I've never got into it. I'd like to. I'd like to try it, but I mean, the thing people don't realize, like you'll talk to casual people that watch it, and they're like, "Oh, that'd be cool just to be a pro angler and fish all the time." But it's like, you don't understand. You're going to be gone from your family most of the time. Traveling. You're driving with your boat. You're pre-fishing a lake 3-4 days before. So you're already tired. You go out and fish a whole day now, and you get done, and it feels like you're, especially in the summer, like you've been ran over sometimes. Doing that 4, 5, 6 days in a row or whatever, it'd be brutal. I wouldn't want to be on the road that much. And yeah, I mean, you really have to want it. You have to want to compete. So I guess it's kind of like going back to MMA. I would talk to people that are like, "You're insane. Like, why would you ever get in the ring with someone?" I'm like, you know, it's no different than any other sport. So it's just, you know, it's a mind thing. You know, it's all in what you want to do to compete.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what's your method right now of getting out on the water? I mean, do you have a boat, or are you a bank warrior? What's the deal?
I have a boat. Yep, I've got a John boat, and then fish in the bank. And I would love to fish from the boat more, but I still work full time. So for me, a lot of times it's just time's sake. Like, you know, I might have a couple hours after work before I have to go get my girls from school, or, you know, we've got a school function or sports. You know, that's all kind of turned around now. My old lady works at the hospital, so she's been working late, you know, of course, with everything blowing up. So a lot of it's just time. I don't have, you know, a full day to get up at dawn and launch the boat and get everything packed, you know, so I do what I can, but.
Heck yeah. Dude, what you should do now, if you're looking to get into the tournament thing, now if you want something that's kind of like not too crazy involved and a lot going on, you should link up with Tyler Cole, like who we talked about.
I just followed him on Instagram.
Yeah, and you should see that Hobie ad we ran. You should get yourself one of those and go fish that local trail in Iowa.
See, yeah, I've had a whole bunch of people hounding me to get a kayak. They're like, we want to see kayak videos. And it's hard for me to justify that because I've only got so much garage space and I've already got a John boat. And I'm like, dude, it's like an aluminum kayak. I can go anywhere where kayaks can go. Plus I've got you know, a 60-pound thrust trolling motor on there. I can just scoot around.
There you go.
So I don't know. Maybe I just need to break down and get it. But
you can always store it on top of the John boat.
Well, see, that's what my buddy was saying that I need to do for my ice fishing hut because we're all froze over here. And he's got like the chain thing in his garage, his buddy does. So he just backs his truck in and then lowers his ice fishing hut in the back of his truck and goes. And he's done the same thing on the side for his kayak. He just, you know, because like the garages here in Iowa, you know, a lot of us have like the 2-story garage, but there's nothing, you know, up top. It's just all open space. So
right.
I don't know. Probably need to bite the bullet and get one, but
there's different things you can do storage wise to kind of set them aside, or a way to kind of like keep everything organized and just have your kayak on top of it or something like that. It doesn't take a lot of work, but like it's such an easy way though to kind of get into the tournament scene.
Yeah.
Granted, it's entirely different than, you know, stick and fish in a live well and culling. It's completely different than that. But it is probably, I would have to say, and Andy, you feel free to disagree. But if you're trying to do low cost, you know, low investment, it's probably the easiest way to get into a tournament atmosphere.
Sure. I mean, if I had the money between having a bass boat, I would probably buy a kayak and do some. I had to pick my poison. So there's just something about going 60 miles an hour on water that I just couldn't say no to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you're in one area and you're like, I want to be 4 miles that way. And on a boat you can pick up and get there, right? You know, 2 minutes later. On a kayak, you're like, well, I'll be there in an hour.
Yep. I get that.
So I think it'd be really cool to get a kayak to fish like really small, like lakes and ponds that normally you can't access.
Yep.
So it's like that far bush-laden bank that you're like, I know there's big ones over there, but I can't cast far enough. And there's fence, so I can't get over there to it. But if I had a kayak, I know I can do some damage. So those are like the opportunities that come to mind for me.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think I'll retract my last statement about the kayak being the easiest low impact way to get into a tournament. Get a friend with a boat and do a team tournament.
Yeah, very true.
I was wrong. That's probably a lot easier.
Oh, $50 for co-angler? Okay, yeah, man, done.
There you go. Yeah, I'll retract what I said about the kayak. But it is a cool way to do it. If you want to do it solo, I'll say that. But it's definitely something different. But dude, talk to me a little bit about the YouTube. What was kind of the inspiration in going down the path of, because like you have such a commingle of different stuff. Like we were talking about, like you had review videos. You'll take specific. I think I saw one like with finesse jigs where you compared the different finesse jigs from different companies and trailers, and you do just simple fishing video. Like you're all over the board. Like you're touching each niche in the fishing industry, which is extremely smart. But like, talk to me kind of how that all started.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was just kind of something that happened out of necessity. Like for me, you know, you see a lot of these guys in Texas and Florida catching pigs every other video. And it's like, I don't have access to that. I don't have, you know, a bunch of private farm ponds or anything, you know, that I can just hit anytime I want to. So everywhere I fish is public. So if I go out and there's 70 boats there, I've got to try to make a video. So the other part of it was, like I was saying, you know, with my family and downtime, I may only get, you know, if my wife's working a bunch of overtime, you know, 12-hour days, I'm only have 2 days to fish for the week. And if one of those days stinks, you know, I've only got one other day and I've got to wait a whole other week. So for me, it was just out of necessity, like, hey, I'm just going to talk about reels, give my honest opinion. I'm going to talk about baits. And a lot of those just started getting tons of hits. And, you know, people are like, hey, we love watching this stuff. Just a normal guy talking about lures and stuff. You know, it's not some, you know, you're out working for a company telling me about it. It's just talking baits, you know. So got into that. I started lure painting too. So I paint crankbaits. You know, that was, again, just the winter thing. I can only ice fish, so paint crankbaits. Oh,
well, there you go, Andy. There's your hookup. There's your guy.
I'm still learning. I'm no tackle craft. Sorry, dude's on another level.
So that's so crazy to me. Just because I think it's probably not as crazy as I make it seem, but it's crazy to me because I am probably the least artistic person. Dude,
so am I. Airbrush is totally different. I can draw stick people. When it comes to an airbrush, a lot of it's just layering and stencils, and it's a different game.
It's shading. A lot of it's like shading.
Yeah. Shading, blending, layering.
Yeah. So if you can take a pencil and make 5 different shades into it, you just have to learn how to like move that over into an airbrush game.
Have you made a video on painting?
Yeah. Yep, I've done a few.
I'm gonna have to go browse and find that because I'm genuinely curious the process of it. But like for a dummy like me, what's the general gist of like process was?
Like if you were gonna get started, or actually just like
no. Like just take you're just gonna paint one crankbait. Like what's the process of how you go through
it? You'd prime it, so you'd go white, and then any color you put on white's gonna be brighter. So you kind of want to go from there. So if you want certain colors to be brighter, you're gonna put it on straight white, or like Andy was saying, you go like I might go with like a dull yellow and then lay other colors over that, you know, and then you're blending them. And I mean, there's guys out there that are just ridiculously good at it. And I don't get to paint enough, and I don't want it to be like a full-time thing. You know, I don't want to not like it. So I just do it kind of when I have free time. But yeah, I mean, it's really just putting on a few different layers, you know, stenciling a couple things on and clearing it. So,
Heck yeah. That's so intriguing to me because you can
really fun.
Yeah, I think you find a lot of guys that have. I feel like the custom crankbaits, especially color wise, are in high demand. Like I feel like you see, like what is it? Is it Folks custom cranks that we were talking about, Andrew? Mm-hmm. That makes some ridiculous stuff and but that's a lot of high demand stuff. That's why you can mark them up the way they are. But
yeah.
So like right now, his big thing. I was just looking at his page before we all hopped on here. And he had pre-Rapala stamped wiggle warts that he sanded down and painted. And he was selling them, I think, for like either 37 or 57 a piece and like a fire craw. And he had like 40 of them.
That's nuts. I think I've got some. I got a whole bunch of. That's the other cool thing that's like amazed me with YouTube is I got a P.O. box. I think that was early this year. And the amount of stuff like that people will send in to me. And I've had a couple, you know, really cool, just generous people sending stuff, and some of which were the pre-Rapala warts. I got some old like flatfish. I got, I forget what else I got in that package. I have to go get it and show you. But like, I was just amazed when I opened it up. I'm like, damn, are you serious? Like some of this stuff goes for good money. And, you know, I talked to the guy and he's like, oh, I'm just happy to help. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
That's awesome.
Dude, you should totally go get it if you're I'm intrigued to see that.
Yeah, take your time.
Dude, that's something I've been thinking about doing too, and I want to hear some fan feedback from that. Like if because I'm totally down to if we get fan mail type of deal to plug that on the show. I will totally crave out a segment. We can even add a whole show of like a whole fan mail type stuff. Like if there's things that people want to send that they want to have featured on the show, that would be something that would be really cool.
Dude, yeah, for sure. Especially if you guys are tackle people, if they want to send in stuff and show. Like these are some old lure Jensen's.
Ooh, is that the old speed trap?
Yeah, similar to like the wart style. This is the hot shot. These are the big hot shots.
Dude, those old lure Jensen speed traps and stuff were incredible.
I think he had I think the red chrome or whatever was even more rare.
So those hot shots there are actually those are steelhead plugs that they plug out west a lot for like big ocean run steelhead.
Huh. Yeah, he had sent him. I remembered something like this vaguely, but I mean, I never fished like the flatfish. I used that when I was a kid a bunch, but nothing ever like that.
They're really good current baits. You can actually like hang them out in current and just open your valve, use them on a spinning rod, and close it, and you can almost count them down to how deep they'll dive in current.
Oh wow!
Because they're made for. So on like a steelhead drift boat, they'll do things called back rowing. So they'll sit there and back row with those plugs, and they plug. So with the current going downstream, that they're back rowing upstream, and it causes the baits to get down, and they can actually shift their boat around and make the baits move back and forth.
Wow.
The steelhead will come out and grab them. Yeah.
I've never done it. Somebody was just telling me I need to try to go steelhead fishing. I'm like, how am I going to do that in Iowa? I'm like, there
you go. If you ever get a free weekend, come to Buffalo in the fall. We'll go catch big smallies and go steelhead fishing.
That sounds
I
good.
got you.
That sounds great, dude. I'll see if I can get some more of these for you. I've got some old speed traps. That's a Lure Jensen old speed trap.
Those are money. So you can go back a little bit. Aaron Martins on Grand Lake Bassmaster Classic did really well on an old Lure Jensen speed trap.
Funny. Let's see what else. I had some more. He sent me some more clear hot shots. Oh, some of the little ones, which actually my dad still has some of that he used to throw for crappie all the time. Some of these little dudes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's like, we used to throw those for crappie. I'm like, they're just so weird because it's like, I mean, that's all Bill, you know?
Yeah. They'll get down like 4 or 5 foot probably on a 6-pound test.
Cool little dudes. I'm trying to think, what else did I get that I was really shocked?
These people sent you those to paint them?
Yeah. He's like, paint some up. And I'm like, dude, I haven't even painted them yet. I haven't done a painting video for a long time. But he's like, yeah, paint some up. I've got some. I'm like, dude, these are too cool to even paint. Like, I want to just put up a shadow box of all these cool old lures and stuff, you know?
But that'd be cool too. Just like collection. Now they're the actual like speed trap blinks.
Yeah,
and stuff
actual
too?
speed traps. Like these are the actual. I got some of the pre-warts.
Oh man, and it's got the stamp on it?
No, these are the pre-Rapala. These are completely nothing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Some of the old blank ones. What else? So those are the pre-wrap. What else did he send? Some of the old flatfish and stuff. Old chrome.
Dude, that's so sweet.
Lure Jensen. Yeah. Super cool. He used to live by the Lure Jensen factory, he said. So he used to get those for like nothing because it was just a whole bunch of old extra blanks, I think, that they would throw out or whatever. And you could just go in and buy them like dirt cheap in their like warehouse office or whatever it was. I was like, man, can you imagine the money if you just bought like all those then?
Dude, I bet you like I'm not saying to do it, but I bet you if you listed like those old speed trap blanks, people would pay big money.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And it's like, I could never do that, you know, somebody's sending those in.
Yeah.
I want to just put a box of them together. I've told him I'm going to paint some of my baits for him. And if he wants some of these, he's like, no, it's cool. I'm like, damn, like, I'm just some idiot in Iowa and you're sending me this stuff. Like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Those speed traps, so if you do paint them up and you can get a chance to go out and fish in like 38 to 45 degree water right after ice out, but that's when that speed trap really does work.
I want to try. I think he sent me a ton of those little ones. Yeah, those hot shots. I actually want to try some of those around once we get ice out, because he sent me like 2 packs of these. I think they have like the holographic. Remember those old holographic things you can see in all of them? A bunch of those and try them. I know my old man would love to do that. We kind of bring back memories, so might have to do up some of those.
I bet you those would be killer on the Mississippi.
Yeah, a ton of river guys used to throw that kind of stuff. I know the like the wart style, you know, the like rock crawler type stuff. I just don't do it enough. But, you know, going out and doing some walleye like that, I guarantee the walleye would crush those. Find a hole and just crank over them.
Yeah, like hot and tots, speed traps, hot shots. They're all awesome current. Weird action. They have a really big, wide deflecting action to them. So they're cool little baits. That's a sweet little piece of history you got.
Yeah,
there.
Man. Super cool.
Thanks for showing us that.
For sure.
That's pretty wicked. I never seen anything like that. I would say Andy's knowledge of older baits was much more expansive than my own.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton. I kind of dabble in it, but I appreciate it. You know, I got into it with a lot of those old guys. So like I did a whole video on like the history of worms. And for me, that was just so fun going back and, you know, because a lot of that stuff I knew, but, you know, I forgot a lot of it. And then you just, you know, it all starts to, you know, fall into place and learn and stuff. It's like, man, I forgot about a ton of that. So I appreciate the history.
Like I remember when the Man's Jelly Worm was like the biggest thing I've
Dude, I've still got a bunch of those. Man's growing up was my favorite brand. The auger tail, like those little auger tail worms and the regular spade tail jelly worms.
Yeah.
Dude, you couldn't beat them. You couldn't beat them. I was throwing them on, and I didn't know what it was, but I was just throwing like the old like the eyeball jigs, just the regular jigs with the painted eyes, and rigging them weedless just because I fished from the bank all the time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But it was essentially like an old school shaky head is what it was. And I didn't even know what I was doing.
A very small shank of a hook, but I mean, it gets the job done.
Didn't worry. Yeah, it didn't matter to me. All I had was probably I don't even know what it was. Probably Quantum. Then I had a bunch of Quantum stuff before they kind of tanked. But, some old Quantum rod with probably 8-pound line on it,
Rest in peace.
Yeah. I actually bought an Accurist. I had a whole bunch of people asking about the Accurist. So I bought one. I'm like, I didn't even know they were still making like new reels, but this is like a new one for this year. So
nice.
We'll see.
I didn't know Quantum was making stuff either. I figured KVD leaving them and who else? Swindle leaving them was like the last straw.
I think their biggest name guys now like Darren Craig down there in Alabama. He's
the
like
YouTuber?
a full Quantum guy. Yeah, he's a full bomb Quantum guy.
Who's the other guy? Didn't Watson leave?
Watson, I think Watson's still with Quantum, actually.
Oh, no. Hackney. Greg Hackney, I think, was with Quantum and left.
He went to lose, too, because the whole Strike King umbrella.
Yeah.
I think it might have been something maybe contractually where they're like, if you're with Strike King, maybe we'll add more money or something like that if you come over to lose, that sort of deal. But I don't know. But it's an interesting deal. I've never actually used any Quantums before, so I have no experience.
Man, like I got the Accurist is a $99 reel, so many of those, like I would even guess Quantum is I think it's Doyulang or Shoyu something. I forget what the Chinese factory is, but like Doyo is the Korean factory, and literally it's Abu made right next to Luz, made right next to I forget who's all Doyo factory. Then you've got like the 13 Fishing, is in one. So a lot of them are so similar. It's like that's why I always kind of chuckle when guys will downgrade one and talk good about the other. It's like I use them for what they are and try them out, and
they have the same parts.
Yeah. That tackle has come so far. Like I remember when I was getting rid of a lot of my old stuff, I had some of my dad's old Bantams. I have to go grab that, but some old Bantams, some of the old Ryobis, like some of the first magnetic brakes to come out. And it's a lot of the same stuff that you see now. Obviously they've improved, and now $100 reel is far better than a $300 reel back then. But overall, it hasn't changed that much. And stuff has gotten so good at $100. Like I don't know, people scoff at that stuff. You have the pure diehard, bleed Shimano guys, but for a weekend angler and stuff, I mean, the other stuff is going to do just fine. So
no, yeah, definitely, 100%. For sure.
There's nothing better than an old green Bantam Corrado, though.
I don't even like to bring that up. I had one and sold it when I was upgrading all my stuff because it probably just needed to be cleaned, And at that time I wasn't cleaning my stuff, and then I started getting into like taking apart reels, and now seeing what those go for and how hard they are to get. Like I still cringe at that, but
yeah, I had one like 4 years ago, and I sold it for like $50 or $60.
Yeah, I sold mine for $50 on Craigslist. Yeah,
shot myself in the foot. It was I think it was like a 5-1-1. It was like it was a 4-8-1. It was a super low gear one.
See, that's the thing they didn't have. I'm assuming it was a right-hander, right?
Yeah, it was
lefty righty. Because people ask me, I use both now. I've trained myself to use left-handed reels, and people ask me why I switch back and forth. I'm like, well, I only learned with right-handed. Like that's all they used to make back in the day. Like you go to a department store and you couldn't find left-handed reels. It was all right-handed stuff. So you see a lot of those guys, cast and then switch hands to reel, and a lot of people just didn't understand that like lefty stuff you couldn't find. So
I actually have a really funny story about that. I don't know why it just popped in my head. I for 3 years while I was in college, I worked at a Field and Stream, which is now Sports Warehouse, the same location, but either way. I was working at Field and Stream, and I had an older gentleman come into the fishing section I was working at, looking for a certain lefty reel, and he wanted it in an 8-1. I think it was like a 13 reel, and we didn't have any. It actually just sold the only lefty we had left like 2 days prior, and because like we rarely ever got lefties in because not many people buy them anyways. And I still remember the guy getting like his face just went completely just depressed and just looks at me and goes, "You make me sick," and then just walks out of Field and Stream. I'm like, I don't know what I can do.
I'm sorry. They only send me righties. Messenger.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know what to do at the same point in time. I kind of felt bad.
Learn to use a righty, nerd. That's what you should have.
It's kind of funny, like on the whole lefty righty thing. I started fishing baitcasters with a lefty. So I reel left-handed with my spinning reel. So it's like it only feels natural to do it with the baitcaster. Now I use all righties, and now I'm starting to get a few left-handed reels again because there's a couple techniques that I want to just use a left-handed reel that I feel like it's just going to be quicker and easier for me to do. So
yeah, like cast and retrieve. I can throw cast and retrieve stuff all day with my left hand, but like anything where I have to set a hook hard, like frogging or jigs, I still have to go with a right-handed retrieve. Yeah, it's just weird, but.
Yeah, I get called weird because I'm right-handed when it comes to bait casters, and I'm also right-handed with spinning. When for some reason everyone's left-handed.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I'm right-handed everything. But I can.
That's why I was too. I know a lot of guys that are like that.
Yeah, I get called weird all the time for it.
Oh man, and I used to get hate stuff. Like I did a video of like, why would I even do this? And it was right versus left, and there was the people that are like, you're just doing this for attention. You just want to try to be like a pro.
Negative attention is still attention.
I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm like, this is just the way you learn how to use it. So
thanks for the free engagement, buddy.
Yeah, whatever. High five.
Exactly.
Have a good one.
Engagement is engagement. That is good.
Yep, that is very true. So dude, talk to us. I want to know with the YouTube thing. Like, is that the dream of going full-time YouTube? Like, what's the plan?
I mean, it didn't start out to be. I remember my goal when I first started. Sorry, you might hear kiddos up there dropping stuff and throwing the dog around. Who knows? But
you are fine.
So, yeah, my goal was to have 2,000 subscribers in the first 2 years. I remember when I first started. I'm like, if I can do 1,000 a year, like that would be crazy. And I blew that out of the water. Like I never thought where I would be today would even be real. So it never was. Like I never wanted to. And I don't know, it's still kind of on the edge of if I will or not, but you know, with how volatile YouTube and all that can be, there could be a new platform to come out. And just was that last year with the whole advertisement deal where they came out with the COPPA thing and not monetizing on kid channels. So any of those kid channels, they took away all sort of revenue. People couldn't comment on them. So that's why the whole switch from is your video made for kids or not? Which luckily, my stuff wasn't fishing. It's, it's made for adults mainly. But, that's scary. If I made that switch, I've got 2 kids, and a family to support. So for me, it's always had to be a hobby. I don't know, maybe, but I don't know.
I respect that. I respect the hell out of that. Yeah, definitely do.
Yeah, kudos to the guys that do, man. You got bigger balls than me just to drop everything and say, screw it, I'm going full time. That's scary. That's a scary leap.
Yeah. And especially that, but I mean, if it works out, I mean, that's the gig right there, though. I mean, just now out fishing and getting paid to fish.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
And not saying that it's a bad thing, but like the guys that don't have families to worry about too, I mean, that's got to be the dream gig for. Not saying that it's bad to have a family and kids, but like it's got to be a lot easier, less pressure on you to obviously perform and get those analytics that you need in order to live off.
The fam and kids definitely cuts down on the fishing time, but
yeah, no, for sure. But obviously, it's different priorities for different people. But I mean, is there a dream here with fishing, or are you kind of enjoying the ride? And
dude, I'm stoked with where I'm at. Like I said, I never thought this would even be possible. To people asking me to be on podcasts, people asking me to fish with them, random people I've never met. Dude, I'm a huge fan. Fish with me. I'm like, I'm some idiot still in my mom's basement here. What people think. Who just love to fish. So no, I'm just enjoying the ride, dude. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, Devon said that behind him is a little Barbie house, and he said it's his daughter's, but I think
we got the Scooby wagon there too.
Yeah, I think he just forgot to put it away before he got on here with us.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Woke up from a nap.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like my dog, we adopted a dog a few months back, and he's taken over it's like a Barbie house tent thing. And there's like a big pillow in there, And whenever I'm editing or whatever, he's taking that over completely as his little castle.
That's awesome.
That's kind of funny though. That's cool.
He's king of the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
King of the castle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. For some reason, that sounded like it was from a movie, but I'll scratch that.
I think it was Borat.
That's what
You
I
will
was
never get
thinking of.
this. Did I remember? Sorry, sidetrack. Squirrel. Did I remember Eric? I only got to listen to like an hour and 15 of the epic Eric one. But was he talking about the sugar shad?
Sugar shad. Spirit shad. We're talking about spirit shad from Godhead.
That's another old lure Jensen one. I forgot that one in there, and then the check out that one.
Whoa! What the heck?
Yeah, it's like the cross.
Dude, that's an old man's, I believe. Or is it a lure Jensen? It might be a lure Jensen.
I think that's the what do they call that one? Hot Lips Express. That was the first run. I don't know. Anyway, got sidetracked. Those were cool.
I've never seen anything like that before.
I think those Hot Lips actually got down to like 20, 25 foot, but they
they're deep diver. And the rattle's really weird too.
Yeah.
What kind of action does that put off with the bill like shaped like that? Like, what is that supposed to affect?
I never fished it. I remember they used to have these. I think Dad had an old one like this with that almost cross coffin type lip.
I think they built it like that for like deflecting off brush.
I would assume so, yeah.
Right.
Because sometimes those like straight build cranks will actually still get hung up in brush. Yep. I think they went with that design.
Like the coffin type build deal.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a hybrid square bill to get it down, but also to deflect and probably turn when it hits that brush so it doesn't get hung up as easy.
I don't know how buoyant these were, but I know that was another thing they were doing too, was messing with buoyancy, as soon as it would hit it to get it up and over, kind of like a balsa deal, you can fish balsa through that, pop it up and over and come through almost, walk the dog type through deal.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have like a niche of baits? Because obviously you have a massive collection. But like, is there like a niche or a line of baits that kind of just sparks your interest more than anything else?
Like old stuff or just to fish? Like if I could fish anything.
Like, are you like a square bill guy? Are you a jerkbait guy? Frogs?
If I could throw frogs all day, every day, it'd be frogs for sure.
Frogs? Is there a specific frog or a certain brand that you lean towards? Or
no. I mean, I used to fish the Booyahs a ton just because they were cheap and they worked. Right. They're a decent all-around frog. But this year I had never used them, and people kept telling me to get the River to Sea, the Bullywah. That's a solid little frog. The Reaction Innovation, the Swamp Donkey, is just a good kind of all-around frog.
So sad they stopped making that, I'm pretty sure.
I thought they were still in Tackle Warehouse.
I think they changed the plastic that was on them.
Oh, that stinks.
I'll look at them right now.
Sprinker, I'm a big fan of the Teckle Sprinker. Similar design, just with that floppy tail.
They're actually identical. Not the Sprinker, but the Teckle made a frog right the same as the Swamp Donkey.
Yeah, it's the exact same mold looking deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the dot might be a little bit off. I compared them. I was talking about that in the video, but that's interesting. I didn't know who made which first or how that went. Like
Reaction Innovations.
Dude, the tackle industry is so cutthroat. Like, it's just crazy, man.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried any like popping frogs?
Let's see. My favorite, actually, the popping perch was surprisingly good. I thought it was a gimmick, and I never used it for the longest time. But I think like 3 years ago, I had really good luck on that because it looks stupid, like the tail and everything. I'm like, I always trim mine, so the legs are only like an inch.
Mm-hmm.
But I fished at stock, and I had really good luck on that.
Yeah, I think Todd Castledine put out a video where he he used the pop and perch, and then he used I think it was like a live target or something like that, and went through the same area where he's got a lot of bites, and just threw both of them on and off, and he just didn't see a difference in bites at all.
Huh. And I would expect that. Like, a lot of it, I think, is totally presentation and location over lure. Like, especially if there's something there and it looks sort of something to eat, they're going to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of a different popping frog to look at if you don't have them yet is the Jackal Gavacho.
Yeah, that's a cool little Gavachos.
That's a cool little popping frog.
I think I had the bluegill when I tried it last year. I didn't catch anything on it. It was at the end of the year when it was getting cold. That and the Kiara, I got that one too last year, like a little
That's a
more
good
finesse
frog,
type
too.
frog. Yeah, I had good luck with that one. I'm trying to think what else.
KR, that's Jackal, right?
Jackal, yeah.
Have you tried the Sixth Sense? What is it called?
The Vega frog.
Have you tried that one?
I got a bunch of those. Yeah, that walks super easy. It's kind of a weird design. It's got more of a long, slender design as opposed to more of like a ovalish fat. It's different.
Probably lets them eat
it. It's probably like a spoon style, so it'll actually walk easier.
Yep. I forgot the Mega Bass Big Gabo. That was probably my favorite from this year. And I didn't want to say that because it's stupidly expensive. There's no reason it should be like
But the $18.99 or something ridiculous.
$18. Like that's so stupid, but
oh yeah, they're $16. Yeah, they're here. But
yeah, I think they call it the catamaran mouth design, whatever the hell that means. It's like a cupped mouth, but dude, walks super easy. Yeah, walks super easy and like cuts a little like, when you put your hand in the water when you're a kid in the swimming pool and you do this to the your buddies and skim it across the top.
Yeah,
like that's what it does. Like almost sprays it.
So it's got that wide like spook walk to it, is what you're saying.
If you want to, yeah. I mean, you can do that. You can chug it. Like some frogs, like that launch frog, the scum launch frog. That one's a little bit harder to get to walk. Like it's more of a chug. Like if you want to chug it, super easy. But like that Big Gabo, like I mean, it walks super easy.
There's right next to the Mega Bass one is the Man Super Frog.
I haven't used that. I saw that. I'm such a Man's fan. I got some of their new, whatever their wacky jelly worm is, just for old time's sake. It was all right. Oh, and the Springer worm. That was kind of a cool design. I'm still on the fence about it. It's like a wacky worm, like a little, it looks like a smaller Senko, but it's got a spring all the way through it. So when you wacky rig it, you're actually putting your hook through the spring, and it's like a weighted wacky rig, but it's got a real good wobble on the way down. But once you use it, I'd have to go get, I still have one out, but it gets all ripped up in the middle, and then you've got spring showing, and then the ends want to pull off. So I don't know.
It's good design, poor execution.
Yeah, but I don't know how you keep plastic on a spring, and I'm sure they're expensive to make. So it's like then you've got that conundrum, because the problem I ran into is your wacky worm will run up the line, but when you try to get it back down on the hook, like I was really having to push it through there, and people are like, well, you should only go through one thing of the spring. Like when you pull them apart and do that, well, then I lost it like after 2 casts. So you have to go through 2 where it's like tight. So
could you O-ring it and go through the spring and O-ring?
It's too skinny. Like unless you could find like a really, really small rubber O-ring, I suppose you could probably go to like Menards and look in the plumbing stuff. Because I know some guys were saying you could do that and find deals. Because people
I have an idea. So Drennan, it's a bobber company. So they make like float tubes that go on the bobbers, and they're real little, like maybe 1/68 or 1/32, but you can stretch them out really far. That might work.
I've heard of people doing like the heat shrink tubing on wacky worms. I'm sure that would actually work great now that I say that, because you've got the hard middle. You couldn't over shrink it and cut the bait. Yeah. Like you could shrink literally right onto that and probably go through one deal of the heat shrink with one coil.
I'd just be worried about like heating it up and then like messing up the consistency of the plastic.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you try to keep it as much on the tubing as possible, with like a heat gun or whatever.
Interesting. Andy, remind me to show you something that just popped up on here after the show that I think will help our conversation from prior. And we'll show you too, Devon. We're not going to show this one on air.
Okay.
Just for time's sake. But, oh man, what was I going to get at too? Oh crap. Talking about old plastics.
Producto worms. Do you have any Producto worms laying around from like the early 90s?
No. Sluggos, I've got.
Oh man, the Lunker Cities.
Yep, I forget what the other ones were called.
That's what I grew up on.
I forget what they were called, but they were like a little grub with like 2 twin tails on them. They almost looked like a little flying deal, because I didn't remember what they were, and somebody told me, but he said they're super hard to find now. A couple packets of those. The Man's auger tail, like I never see anybody talking about those anymore, but dude, that was such a cool. It was kind of just a twist on the a curly tail worm, but they had the auger tail, so it was like the tail actually came down in a big long U with like a little spade on it. So once you once the tail came back, it was real tight. It wasn't big like a curly tail. It was real tight, but I don't know, man. I used to just crush on those.
That's super interesting. Well, dude, talking about YouTube real quick before we're gonna wrap things up in a little bit, and we'll hit you with our question. We like to hit everybody who's new to the show, but when it comes to the YouTube, like how I asked you earlier, like how you have your hands in so many different niches of the fishing industry, especially when it comes to the YouTube side of things, where you're doing review videos, you're doing just going out fishing videos, you're doing informational stuff, instructionals all over the place. If you could kind of like only choose one avenue where you really wanted to keep moving forward with, where like make only that kind of video consistently, like what would you pick? Would it be just just simple going out and fishing and filming, or do you really enjoy like making review videos, or what?
Gosh, that's hard. It would probably be between, like, I'm a huge gear nerd, so I like taking stuff apart and looking at it. So it'd probably be between, like, if just all brands sent me something, if I could get into something where I just like had all the new stuff to like look at and tinker with, reviews would be fun. But it would probably be like the how-tos and instructional type thing, just because those are the most rewarding. Like, there's nothing cooler than people sending me, dude, I caught my PB because of, X, Y, or Z video. Because of you, I never would have got out and fished. Like, that's just crazy. That's so cool to read. It's like being a coach. I was more nervous for people that I was cornering than I was for me. If I got beat, that's my own fault. I didn't prepare, or the guy was better. But like when you're in somebody's corner that you care about and you can't do anything, they get done with the fight. They're like, dude, I won that because of a move you showed me. Man, it's unmatched.
That's pretty sweet. Yes, we've basically been talking to a certified badass for 52 minutes.
Not anymore. Yeah. I'm old and fat and decrepit.
Welcome to just blame it on the beer.
Beer. Body by beer now.
Yeah.
That'd be a great T-shirt. Body by beer.
Sure they have it.
It's gotta be. Trademark it. Get it up there. But I meant to ask you earlier when you talked about your neck injury, if you don't mind sharing, what exactly happened?
It was really just one of those long time wear deals. So I finally, probably for a month, I was having my right arm. I couldn't feel like my first 3 fingers for close to a month. And I'm like, I knew something was going on. And it's just one of those things where it's like, are you injured? Or are you hurt? Like, that's always the thing in MMA. And I'm assuming any other sport, like you're never 100%. So it's like, suck it up. Don't be a wuss. You're just injured. You're not actually hurt. And it finally got to the point where I was like having really bad headaches, and like, I'd never had migraines or anything, but like similar to migraines, plus like my whole arm was tingling. So it literally felt like somebody had a fire under my arm all day. And I'm like, damn, I got to go in. So I got an MRI on my spine and everything. And when the doctor came in, she's like, are you feeling all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, so were you in a car wreck or what happened to you? And I'm like, no. And like, I laughed at her. I'm like, that's funny. And she was looking at me like, this isn't a joke. That's when I was like, oh damn, like what's going on? And I had multiple vertebrae, actually, I forget which numbers, but a set of 3. So, 2 merging into the middle one had actually fused because I had no disc there. Like the disc was completely gone just from wrestling and everything. She's like, I'm surprised you're not in like crazy pain, but they've essentially done what we would do for elderly patients, and they've fused together on their own. Usually they'll put like a titanium plate in there and drill screws into your vertebrae. And like, I still don't have very good movement, but like my body healed itself, I guess is kind of a blessing. But I'm sure when I get older, it'll be hell. I'll have to get, fake discs and stuff put in. But
oh man, that's brutal.
We'll see. Yeah. So that was kind of the point. She's like, if you keep going, like you're going to need surgery. You could get hurt pretty bad because you don't have discs there, or, you'd lay off it. It's your choice. So I was like, I have kids now. What am I doing? So
yeah,
time to go fishing.
Yeah,
exactly. Guys, I'm going fishing.
That's perfect. Well, it's good because you hear stories again, especially neck injuries of people that don't make it out that lucky, especially when it comes to sports.
Yeah, neck and head is nothing to mess with. I remember when we first started training, like it was still pretty young when I got into it. It was like 2002. They didn't have all the sanction stuff. They weren't blood testing before fights. I remember one of the guys of our gym fought twice in a night, and it was literally a bar where you could sign up to fight anyone of any weight. It was just like I think it was McCain.
Let's
I
go.
don't remember who else. But, it was huge in politics. They called it human cockfighting, and they were trying to get it shut down. And finally it came into an actual sport with sanctions and all that stuff. But
sheesh,
yeah, it was crazy back in the day.
That is nuts. That's crazy, dude. So, dude, we're gonna wrap things up here in a second, but we have one last question that we like to ask everybody who is new to the show, just because it stumps a lot of people. So I'm intrigued to hear your answers, especially coming from that fighting background, just because I'm very curious to see what you're gonna say here. But essentially, the question goes is: if you could sit down, have a steak, have a beer with 3 different individuals, and pick their brain, who are you going to invite and why? They don't have to be fishing industry, and they don't have to be presently living. So they could be from 1,000 years ago. Doesn't even matter. What 3 people are you going to sit down with and pick their brain and why?
Nikola Tesla, just because I think he had so much information. There was so much in there that he wanted to do and go through, the whole energy and electricity thing. Like, one of his big things was, free energy, that, we shouldn't be charging for energy. And we've got, the whole DC current thing, everything that he got into. I think there was just so much in his brain, like somebody that intelligent. I'm not a very bright guy, but talking to somebody with dreams like that and that big of a vision, like, dude, I couldn't even imagine, the things that he had thought about and, how long and how many different inventions and, whatever he had done to get to that point. To get to the Tesla coil. I think he would be probably number 1. 2 and 3. One point in time, it's not necessarily a person, but like I just couldn't fathom going back to see an actual dinosaur, as childish as that sounds. That's something I've always wanted to do, just because, like, it used to be the whole thing of we thought they were reptiles, right? They look like a scaly reptile. Now, more recently, it's like, well, they were birds. All of them might have had fur and feathers, on them. They don't know. Like I couldn't imagine seeing something bigger than my house walking around. Couldn't really talk to them. Feathers. Yeah,
being a bird with, like, could you imagine a T-Rex
covered in feathers? I don't know, man. Maybe. I don't know.
Jurassic Park is now ruined. Remake him.
Gosh,
that'd be so terrifying,
dude. Yeah, at least he couldn't fly. Like, you just hope somebody had a glider or something. Yeah, maybe. Hell, who knows?
You can't. Yeah, exactly.
Just like take the screech away from it, the growl that they think they have, and give them like this weird, annoying screech, and
like a turkey.
Sounds like a toucan. Jesus, we digress.
We just ruined Jurassic Park for everyone.
Yep. Jurassic Park is now a comedy.
Number 3, man, I don't know who number 3 would be.
About somebody maybe in fishing too. How about that? Saying you did 2. You did an extinction of a race, and then
yeah, we got deep here, and now we're going to talk about aliens next. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, let's go! I can go for holding an hour.
Real deep and say we're all aliens.
Okay, hey, this could be simulation. We might not even be real. This could be simulation. Anyway, number 3, like, it wouldn't necessarily be somebody dead, but like either Bill Dance or Hank Parker, like. Or we could even go old school and go Babe Winkleman. I mean, I watched him growing up too, but probably Bill Dance or Mr. Parker. If I could just like spend a day and fish with one of those guys. I met them both at the Bassmaster Classic, and both of them had like a funny line. Like I didn't expect anything going up to them. I kind of thought they might be dicks, because of, and I don't know if I can say that in here. Sorry.
Oh, go for it.
No, you're fine.
Okay. I didn't know what to think, just with them being in the industry so long and probably people hounding them. But I was catching Bill Dance as he was walking out to go to the escalator. I'm like, Mr. Dance, I'm like, can I trouble you for a picture? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. Get over here. I'm like, okay, cool. I go to put my arm around him. He's like, your fly's down. I'm like, what? And they take the picture. He's like, gotcha. I'm like, oh, damn. You got me. So like the first picture of me is like this with him. Then the second one's like. And then I was with my buddies from South Carolina. And we walked up to see Zach and Andrew, the guys over at Looking for Fish, good dudes. And we were going over to meet Hank Park because I'm like, dude, he's here. I got to go meet him. And Andrew, I think it was Andrew, had my camera, and he's like, all right, he's like, well, smile on 3. He's like, oh, where are you guys from? I'm like, I'm from Iowa. He's like, he's from South Carolina. He's like, oh, he's like, does he need to take off his shoes to count to 3? So it was just funny. Like I figured, it would just be a quick kind of like, oh yeah, sure. What do you want? Get a picture. But man, both of them, for me being some nobody, like they were just on top of it and just funny. So.
That's too cool.
Have you ever listened to what is it called? What is it? It's with Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy. What is it? Blue Collar Comedy
Tour. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have loved to see when they sit on the stools and they do the "Here's your sign" thing.
Yep.
I would have loved to hear Hank Parker's spinoff.
Oh God, I'm sure he's got a bunch of them.
And by the sounds of it, Bill Dance would be a great addition as well.
Yeah, I think the funniest one was like, you might be a redneck if you're mowing your lawn and you accidentally find your car. You might be a redneck.
I watch those old ones all the time.
Yeah, they were funny.
They're gold. Yeah.
I always think about him.
That was probably my favorite 3 ever, just because he brought up dinosaurs, and I'm a huge dinosaur fan. I'm still kind of a nerd about it.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine it.
And now it's all ruined. Feathers and wings.
And now it's ruined.
Yeah.
You ruined it for me. You ruined my childhood.
Pink feathers with little wings, Tyrannosaurus. He wasn't scary at all. He had sharp teeth. He actually didn't even eat meat. He used that to cut vegetation.
He's a herbivore.
Yeah, he was actually a herbivore. So.
That's incredible.
Sorry, I ruined your podcast, guys. It's probably going to tank. I'll send you $100 afterwards to make up for it.
We're gonna have like 100 thumbs down on this one because we ruined everyone's childhood.
Who's this idiot in his mom's basement talking about dinosaurs? Get this dummy off here.
with the Barbie house.
Yeah, with the Barbie house. Good Lord. Sorry.
Imagine.
The good thing is whoever comes on next will look great because I've totally brought down the average, so they'll look like a superstar. I'm okay with that. I'm a stepping stone for people.
It's slowly becoming a not so serious angler podcast, and I love it.
Sorry.
We actually have like a little segment where we literally call it Not So Serious, and we'll have to bring you on for one of those. I feel like he'd be a great addition.
I would be down.
Sweet. We have one coming up in a little bit. We'll send you the invite your way.
All right, let me know.
But dude, for real, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight. It's been an absolute blast to talk to you, and obviously learn your story, and talk some baits with you. And I definitely plan on picking your brain a little bit more about some of the baits you got locked up in that Barbie house that you probably use to store all of your baits. But it's all good.
He's got boxes full of speed traps and all the goodies.
Yeah.
Next to it, you got Barbie.
Next to it, you got Barbie house and my kids. So.
If somebody would ever break in, that's probably the last place they're going to look for you.
Exactly. I put them in old Barbie boxes because they're like, we don't want Barbie boxes. I'm like, yes, my hot shots are in there. I'll never look there.
Oh man, it's too funny. But seriously, dude, Devon, it's been a blast, man. Thank you for coming on, and dude, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right, man. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Dude, that was I'm looking forward to the next Not So Serious.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
we'll have to bring up aliens just because he brought it up. We'll have to go down that rabbit hole when we have that plan on again.
Eric would be a fun one for Not So Serious too.
Who?
Eric, like Epic Eric.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And we should if we really wanted to get crazy, we could make it into a drinking game. Eric can't talk about any crankbait or bait at all throughout the episode.
Just like wild driving stories, what you've seen while on the water.
Oh man, yeah, dude, that would be kind of cool to like bring on a bunch of guys that are, whether they're pros or not, but the guys that travel and fish and just like some of the crazy stuff you've seen. That would be kind of a cool segment for sure.
Let us know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, let us know if you guys would listen to that. If not, let us know if we should avoid that. More of a danger close. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
But talking about, let us know, like feedback stuff, like what we talked about earlier when Devon had brought up a P.O. box. Let us know if that's something that we should set up, where if you guys want something featured on a show, we can literally either, feature it on a show as part of our introduction, or we can literally create another episode where we just do fan mail. We just bring up what you guys have sent us, that sort of thing, and we can go through it and talk about it. So let us know if you guys would be interested in doing something like that, because I'll totally set it up and we can get that rolling. But in other words of stuff that fans should do, if you guys play Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing, join our group, because we are getting some sweet stuff rolling. And there's gonna be the top 3 are all gonna be winners of a sweet prize pack. And so far we got Queen Tackle involved, we got P-Line. We're gonna be teaming up with Adam Deacon Business from the Bass Boat. We're going to be live streaming some different shows about our picks, about a preview of the Elite Series tournaments coming up, some recaps. It's going to be pretty exciting stuff. So make sure you guys, if you are doing Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing, go join it. It's a Serious Angler podcast. We are, I think we're 8th right now on the list for those people enrolled.
Growing fast.
Yeah, we know Tackle Warehouse already at 1,000 or something like that. I don't know if they're at 1,000 yet, but they're pretty damn close. But it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're still trying to get more companies on board. So for people who are looking to play and looking to win, if you think you're smart enough to win on the fantasy fishing,
savvy, you need some savvy people.
Yeah, you need some risks. You gotta be a baller to win that. But either way, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hope you guys will join that. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to let the folks know before Friday's episode.
No, man, I think we're good. Just be on the lookout for content coming. We know we keep saying that, but there is stuff coming down there.
It's hard right now when we're in when we're in New York and it's the winter, but it's really going to pick up around that February, like mid-February to March timeframe, when we start getting some ice out. And I'm looking to hopefully film as I travel a little bit here and there. But it should be fun. But other than that, folks, we appreciate you as always tuning in, and we'll see you guys on Friday.